And so I remember during the beginning stages of my gender exploration when I was feeling really concerned about this really long timeline of my progress. And so when I was concerned about it, I would get into this uptight space where I was kind of like throwing a tantrum at life or at God. And I was like, hello, like, how long is this gonna take? Like, how much pain am I gonna have to endure until I can finally feel at home in my body? Because, if you ask me, this whole process is going like way too slow. But so, of course, as I'm operating within this anxious, impatient mindset where I'm simultaneously grasping at my desired outcome, and then I'm also feeling disgusted with my current reality. Well, let's just say that those were times when I was feeling very frustrated with my transition. And it's crazy because when I was in that space and I was really obsessing about the results, what would end up happening is that I would like completely disregard any of the progress that I had made up until that point. And so I was just like, nope, none of that is good enough. None of this is really all that important because I haven't reached this end goal that I have in my mind yet. But, that's what happens when we get fixated on a goal or an outcome, right? We ruminate, we scheme, we obsess, and we do everything in our power to like force our situation to change as quickly as humanly possible. And so then, of course, as a byproduct of this mentality is that as we're engaging with our day-to-day lives, we have this sort of like, it's like an ulterior motive where we say like, okay, I'll do this, but it's only because it's getting me to what I want. So it's like, okay, fine. I'm gonna eat healthy, but as soon as I'm skinny again, well, I'm having cake for breakfast. Or, okay, I'm gonna meditate, but as soon as I feel peaceful again, then I'm right back to binging social media. And so it's like we get into this like backwards space where we are approaching the path not because we really want to walk it, but because of where we think it's taking us, if that makes sense. And obviously this mindset or this orientation, well, it's not something that is specific to the gender exploration. It's like, okay, this is something that's super common. And this is just what happens for humans as we go about trying to get whatever it is that we want. And so it's like we fixate on the destination while we're also begrudgingly walking the path that takes us there. And so, yeah, this is a universal human thing. But the reason I'm talking about it is because at the same time, I also feel like trans people are especially vulnerable to the negative consequences that this unhelpful mindset can introduce into a person's life. Because, okay, maybe think about it like this. So in a way, we're being incentivized to take all sorts of shortcuts, right? So we've got these magic pills and we've got these surgeries and we've got all sorts of therapists and doctors. And for the most part, the entire gender affirming system is designed in a way where we are being offered a supposed fast track towards achieving our gender-related goals. And so obviously I'm not saying that any of that is bad by any means. For me, I'm incredibly grateful for how the system works. But what I am trying to do is highlight it's like a temptation for the trans person or the gender expansive person to assume that the goal or the solution that they are looking for is one and the same with the solution that the system is offering them, if that makes sense. So it's like, oh, you're trans? Well, okay, here's your diagnosis. And then also attached to that, here's your solution. It's like, wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. It was a pleasure doing business with you. And so, not only are we being spoon-fed these cookie cutter solutions, but at the same time, we're also dealing with an incredible amount of internal turmoil, which obviously we want to be free of that as soon as humanly possible. And so when our desire to alleviate that inner pain gets associated with making superficial outward changes as quickly as possible, then the result is that, well, it's kind of like we're just dealing with this perfect storm type situation where we are being incentivized to completely disregard the path in favor of the assumed or presented outcome. And it's like we can get all mixed up about what our soul's deepest desires are and how they are in relation to the types of solutions that were being offered. And then we can also make some pretty drastic assumptions about how we should go about bridging the gap between where we are and then like where we think we're supposed to be. And so in my experience, all of this combined, it just creates an incredibly delicate situation, which requires us as gender expansive people to have, it's like a certain amount of emotional maturity combined with self-awareness so that we can truly go about satisfying those deep soul level needs which are calling out for our attention. And that's why, in my opinion, it's so important for us to be doing the deeper work and to really commit ourselves to bringing our day-to-day lives into balance now in this present moment, long before those far-off goals ever show up at our doorstep. So, okay, let's talk a little bit about a mindset or an orientation that we can use in order to find happiness and satisfaction in the now as opposed to at some point in the future. So I think that the most important part of this process is simply recognizing that the reason you want your gender-related goals, whether that's a masculinization or feminization situation, or maybe it's a surgery or just starting hormones or something else, well, the reason you want those things is because of how you think those things are going to make you feel, right? So really, it's not so much that you actually want those things, but instead it's you want what those things can get you, right? And if you recognize that, your big far-off goals are actually just a means to an end, well, then all you have to do is like set those goals on the back burner. Don't forget about them. Don't stop pursuing them, but just refocus your energies and start engaging in creative and sustainable solutions which are accessible in your daily life and are directly associated with whatever your desired feeling state happens to be. And so what this does is it turns your entire process like inside out, and it enables you to bypass your previously defined finish line, which was, it's like way off in the future. And instead, now you're able to find ways to connect directly with this desired feeling state, but it's happening right here in the present moment, which of course means that a big part of this process is going to be getting more clear about what it is that you really want, right? And doing that sort of internal exploration where you're asking yourself, okay, what is it that I'm really wanting? Like, what are my needs? What are the emotions that I'm wanting to feel? What are the things that are most like deeply important to me? And then instead of placing all of those things on the other side of some perceived future milestone, you just cut out that middleman and you ask yourself, okay, once I achieve all those goals that I think I'm supposed to be working towards, what is that actually going to feel like? Like, how is my body and my mind going to react once I've crossed that perceived finish line? And then if we take this process one step further, now you ask yourself, okay, what do I need to do in order to create a lifestyle that is designed to continually meet my needs? And as you deepen in this practice and you strengthen your resolve to feel happy now, what you're going to notice is that deep satisfaction and like true happiness, it comes as a result of honoring and showing up to your daily life. Because that's what this is really all about, right? It's like falling in love with the process, with the journey. And the way that you're going to be able to do this is by getting creative and engaging in simple, sustainable, nourishing daily practices that remind you over and over again that where you are is exactly where you want to be. And if you're ready to take your gender exploration to the next level and you want to learn how to cultivate real self-confidence as a gender expansive person, then you should watch this video and I'll tell you about how to do just that. All right, my friend, I'll see you in the next one.